So let's just get started. Let's get with the NFL news because there's a lot of hiring going on. And let me start out with this. Seattle hires McDonald as their head coach. Ron, how do you feel about this hire?
I feel okay. They had to move, I think, in a different direction. They wanted to focus on defense. I think that's what McDonald will bring them. He's the Ravens DC prior to moving there to Seattle. So they need to fix their defense. This is probably a good approach. I would worry a little bit about their offense now, like what's going to happen as far as who's calling plays and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see what other moves they make, but I think it's a good fit for them.
I mean, they're definitely going away from the Pete Carroll type, but they're sticking to their defense first kind of mentality. So I don't have any complaints about it. And I haven't seen this. There's a lot of people that are being head coach for the first time. So let's see what kind of head coach they're gonna be. The other news is Ron, and we just found this out. Vegas is gonna hire Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator. How do you feel about that? He took a hiatus, right?
He did. So this one's interesting because his name was rumored to be interviewing. Steelers never happened though. But his name was floating around out there for a while for several teams. I don't know. So his offense is almost the opposite of who Pierce is, right? So Pierce is more smash mouth, like old school, and Kingsbury is spread them out, throw 300, 400 yards or whatever, more of an air raid type of offense. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. They need to find a quarterback now. I wouldn't be shocked if they trade for someone that fits Kingsbury's offense, like Justin Fields. Probably fit perfectly in that offense. But we'll see. I think it's a decent move by them. I was telling you before we started recording that it looked like they interviewed Chip Kelly as well twice. So that would have been interesting as well. Both those hires.
I feel like they have to keep up with the Chiefs, right? Because Chiefs is all about scoring no matter what. And I feel like if you can't score at the same pace with the Chiefs, they have to do something. I like this hire. I don't know how it's gonna work because I just mentioned they don't have QB.
Yeah, they have one decent receiver too, and he's getting up there in age. So that they need to find some additional weapons once they find who their quarterback is as well.
The other set of news is Washington hired Dan Quinn as a head coach. Ron, is this a good hire?
So it's not their best hire, and it's probably not their first option, right? It seems like they really, really wanted Ben Johnson. They may have even had a deal negotiated with Johnson, and then Johnson basically pulled the carpet out from under their feet and canceled at the last minute. So not their first option. Dan Quinn has been around for a while, lots of experience. I don't know if Bieniemy got an interview. Doesn't sound like it, right? I don't think I read anything about him getting an interview to stay there and elevate to a head coaching position. So I do wonder what will happen to him, but we'll see. It's probably better than Rivera, right?
Anything is better than Rivera.
Yeah, I was never a fan of Ron Rivera, so but yeah, I think with all these coaches, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I have mixed feelings about Dan Quinn, and why do I have mixed feelings? Because basically, he was the architect of the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. And what I mean, the architect, I mean that he was the losing coach. He actually led the New England Patriots beat them when he was up 28-3. It was a Detroit style meltdown. And then he was immediately fired like during the offseason. So if you're gonna keep Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator, I think this team can be decent. If he's gonna get rid of Bieniemy and bring his own people, I mean, he did have Kyle Shanahan when that whole thing with the Falcons happened, but obviously Shanahan is not gonna be available. So I'm wondering what he's gonna do, whether he's gonna keep Bieniemy or go and bring his own people in. So I don't know if that was a stipulation of his hiring. I don't know. We can only speculate, but I want to see what he does with that information.
Commanders was a team. They were a team that interviewed Bill Belichick too, apparently. So
at this point, who didn't Bill go to, or have a phone call, or he just didn't want to leave his Nantucket site,
I guess.
The other news is Pats hire offensive coordinator Van Pelt. And Ron, I had to look him up because I didn't know who he was, what hole he crawled out of, and he's been coaching for a while. He went through the Browns. He was with the Bengals. Then I think he was a high school coach at one point. What do you think about this hire?
I don't know. I probably need to do some research. I know he played quarterback for a while, right? I forgot who he was drafted to, but I think it was in the NFL for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he was actually started with Pittsburgh, I think.
So that's probably why the name sounds familiar. So, but I don't know. We'll see. It's an interesting name. How do you feel about it, more importantly?
I mean, I'm just happy that they're moving away from that Bill Parcells branch, I know that in the defense has kind of like his DNA, but I'm okay with this hire. I mean, Gerard Mayo is trying to be his own man. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I'm okay with the hire.
Yeah.
I think that until we actually see who they draft and whether it's going to be a QB, whether it's going to be a wide receiver, we still don't know, but I don't have anything bad to say about Van Pelt. I just want to see him in action. And I just want to see what happens.
Yeah, 8th round pick of his hometown Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew I saw that in his MO, his background. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm just happy that there was rumors that Josh was coming back, and I was like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want him back? I know he's like the quarterback whisperer, but Mac Jones is not getting re-signed for his 5th year, so why even bring him back?
Yeah.
Unless that was in the cards. Doesn't seem. Finally, the other set of news, Ron, and I say this for last: Steelers hire offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. How do you feel about that?
So I got to be honest, when I first heard about this, I was not happy at all, just because of his recent performance in Atlanta, right? He failed as a head coach there. But when I took a step back and looked at what he was trying to do in Atlanta and what the success he had in Tennessee, it makes so much sense. It fits so perfectly with the Steelers' identity. He is a run first, type of coach. That is exactly up Pittsburgh's alley. Derrick Henry had like his best years under Arthur Smith as the OC. Tannehill had his best years as well. So it's not like he fell out. Tannehill actually played really well. And I think he led the league, if I'm not mistaken, in passing yards or some crap like that. So I think it's a perfect fit for what Pittsburgh's trying to do. I think he will help to develop Kenny Pickett as a quarterback, and lead him to a decent season, because it's an important year for Kenny. It's his 3rd season. They're at a point where if it doesn't work out for him next year, they're going to have to make a decision about who their franchise coordinator is going to be. So I'm actually optimistic about this hire now. I still wish we had more time to interview other people. I really wanted us to look at Kubiak, San Francisco. I wouldn't have mind interviewing Eric Bieniemy because, you know, his history and how good he's been. Now, Bieniemy has issues with, he's not a player person. He always rubs people the wrong way. But I think maybe that's what the Steelers needed, to be honest with you, because we have a young offense. I was also hoping that they would interview someone like Byron Leftwich, but that didn't happen either. So, listen, I'm not going to complain. I think this is going to work out great. I think it'll, you know, if we go into next season, it may take a couple games to get our offense going, but I think he can, you know, lead our offense, into relevance, scoring 25, 26 points a game. With the talent we have, I think we have more talent, except for the offensive line, more talent than what Tennessee had. Certainly than what Atlanta has on offense, but definitely than what Tennessee had at the time. So even with Tannehill and Derrick Henry, I think between Najee and Warren, Kenny Pickett, if he's our quarterback, the receivers, Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth, the tight end. So there's a lot. I think there's some more talent on Pittsburgh, at least, equal talent, if not better. So I'm excited to see, some improvement for next year.
Yeah, I think he'll do fine. I mean, I like that he works tight ends into the offense. So, and Pittsburgh sure has a lot of tight.
Yeah.
So this should work fine. I think that there's some coaches that are better coordinators than they are head coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that this should work. Under Mike Vrabel, he did okay because he didn't have to make a final decision. So I think if you take that out from Arthur Smith, he'll do just fine.